Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 395. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is legacy, building generational wealth for your own last name, not others. Legacy, building generational wealth for your own last name, not others. Now, today is the first episode of Black History Month, so I want to break some things down, guys, and focus on what's really important for our community and ourselves and our families. And it's really generational wealth, being able to create that generational wealth and being able to teach our children how to create that generational wealth so it will continue. Now, before we get to today's show, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, where I share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. And also my new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. So behind the Academy, we have all types of resources and learning content such as online courses, master classes, PDF downloads, and resources to help launch, build, and grow a successful business. Doesn't matter if you are a new entrepreneur or an existing entrepreneur, you can get 3 days free. Just go to bebacademy.com. Also, I want to remind you guys, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. All of the resources are at blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com. You can go there. If you want the shortened version, just go to bebconnect.com. It's going to take you to the website. Both of them are going to take you to the same place. Now, if you want the show notes, make sure that you sign up for the newsletter. So go to the website, and on the bottom of every page, it'll say newsletter or sign up to join the family. So every Monday morning and Thursday morning, you get the BEB newsletter, and you have the show notes from the latest shows in that newsletter. So if you're driving, if you're on the treadmill, you're exercising, working out, and you're not able to take notes, we have all the links and everything we talk about in the show notes. So make sure you go and sign up for the newsletter. Also, I want to let you guys know that next week, we're going to have a very special couple on the show. We're going to have Dedrick and Crystal Polite. They're on the new A&E show called 50/50 Flip. So if you're interested in real estate, it was an amazing interview with all types of jewels being dropped. So if you're interested in real estate investing, make sure you check out next week's episode with Crystal and Dedrick Polite of Be Polite Properties and the new A&E show, which you can watch right now, called 50/50 Flip. Also, don't forget, guys, on the website, I talk about making BEB the resource for all Black entrepreneurs. So when you go to blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com, make sure you go to the Learn tab, right? So when you click the Learn tab, you have a whole drop down. You have the blog, you have marketing resources, e-commerce resources, scaling your business resources. You have the courses, resources, strategy and mindset, real estate, business ideas and side hustles, and building wealth. So when you go to the website, make sure you hit the Learn button, and every page that I just mentioned has resources on there for you to help level up your business. Now let's get ready for today's show topic, legacy, building generational wealth for your own last name, not others. And so what we've been doing for the last 400 plus years that we've been here, guys, is really creating generational wealth for other people's last names. And what we really need to focus on, this being Black History Month, we need to focus on creating generational wealth for ourselves. The first thing I want to talk about is the definition of generational wealth. Generational wealth includes financial assets such as property, investments, money, or anything with a monetary value that you pass down from one generation to the next. So generational wealth includes financial assets such as property, investments, money, or anything with a monetary value that you pass down from one generation to the next. And our goal shouldn't just be to pass down generational wealth to our children, but to our children's children's children. So it has to go deeper than just our children. You know, Dame Dash has a saying that I like to use. It says, hustle for your last name, not your first. And so when I talk about generational wealth, I'm going to talk about and mention some companies. And I'm sure you probably know a lot of these companies, but they all have the same thing in common. They're somebody else's last name. We'll start off with Prada. Prada is an Italian luxury fashion house that was founded in 1913 by Mario Prada. Gucci was founded in 1921 by Guccio Gucci in Florence, Tuscany, Italy. Louis Vuitton is a French high-end luxury fashion house and company founded in 1854 by Louis Vuitton. Balenciaga, a high-end luxury fashion house founded in 1917 by the Spanish designer Cristobal Balenciaga in Spain. Ferragamo was founded in 1927 in Florence, Italy by Salvatore Ferragamo. Fendi was founded by Dell and Eduardo Fendi in 1925 in Rome. Burberry is a British luxury fashion house headquartered in London, England, founded in 1856 by Thomas Burberry. Hermes is a French luxury design house established in 1837 by Thierry Hermes. Versace, Italian luxury fashion company and trade name founded by Gianni Versace in 1978. Those are some fashion brands, but we can talk about other things too. So Campbell Soup. Joseph Albert Campbell was an American who is best known for being the founder of Campbell Soup in 1869. Campbell Soup is right across the bridge from Philly in Camden, New Jersey. That's where they started. Of course, the DuPonts. So the company was founded by, I hope I can pronounce this right, Eleuthère Irene DuPont in Delaware in 1802. And they produced black powder and later other explosives, which remained the company's main products until the 20th century when it began to make many other chemicals as well. And they used to sell gunpowder to the French and the Americans during the French-American War. They didn't care. Here's some other names that you'll recognize that are people's last names. Walt Disney, obviously Disney. Michael Dell, Dell Computers. Bernard Kroger, Kroger Supermarkets. Charles Walgreens Pharmacy. Johnson & Johnson, James and Edward Johnson. Lucius Lowe. If you go to Lowe's, same thing as Home Depot, Lucius Lowe. William Procter and Joseph Gamble, Procter & Gamble. Marcus Goldman from Goldman Sachs. These are all well-known, financially established companies that are based on somebody's last name. Somebody's last name. Okay, so now we need to start thinking about building companies and generational wealth. And everything I just mentioned here is generational wealth built by building legacy. Now, you're going to have a legacy any way you put it, family. You can have a good legacy or you can have a bad legacy. But you want to build a legacy of generational wealth. And so all of those companies I named, you probably got some of them in your closet. You probably wearing them. I didn't even talk about the automotive, Ford, Chrysler. All of those are people's last names. So today I'm going to talk about 3 issues or problems that we have when it comes to building generational wealth. And then I'm going to give you guys some tips on some of the things that we can do to help create generational wealth in our community. So the first thing is, talking point number 1, I guess, is you've been brainwashed and programmed to value anything that is not black. Anything that's not black, we've been taught to value that. So, for example, I just mentioned off all of those designers' names: Prada, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, Ferragamo, Fendi, Burberry, Hermes, Versace. All of those we've been taught to value. OK, But we've been brainwashed because we have designers out there that do just as good work as they do, but you don't get the compliments when you wear some black designer's brand that you get when you're wearing Versace or somebody else. So we've been brainwashed by television, radio, movies, books, music, everything to devalue black and value white images and constructs, even including our beauty, our hair, our skin color, our body shape. But the funny thing is, we don't even acknowledge that other ethnicities, even though they deride us, are trying to be like us. For example, butt injections, right? Lip injections, cornrows, tanning. Okay, they tan like crazy. So they deride us and talk down on us, but yet they want to be like us. They value or understand our value more than we value ourselves sometimes. Now, I know that's probably not true for the BEB family because we got a lot of people here that are woke. They understand what's going on. But there's a segment out there that doesn't even realize that the value that we have, other people, ethnicities value that. They try to look like us, act like us. We're the leaders of culture, but they don't want to be us. And the reason that they don't want to be us is because of our socioeconomic standing. Also because of the propaganda and the media, how it's depicted us. And so they like what we are, but they don't want to be us. And so all of that comes back to being brainwashed and programmed. So a lot of us are brainwashed and programmed. Clarence Thomas, Candace Owens. You got all other type of people I can't even think of off the top of my head that right now that are ashamed that they're black. They've been so programmed by media and the social constructs, they don't even understand the value that they have. They lack value. They lack self-importance. They're more concerned about getting a pat on the head from the white man and saying, thank you, boss. I done good, right? That's what they're concerned with. When you hate yourself, I believe Malcolm X said it, the worst atrocity that anybody can put on anybody else, and I'm paraphrasing, is making them hate themselves. And that's what's happened to a lot of us unconsciously. Most of us know it, but some of our actions are unconscious. Oh man, you know how those black businesses are, right? I talked about this last week. You know how those black businesses are, right? Oh, they don't open on time. The products aren't as good. All of that has been fed to you and you believe that nonsense. Like I said before, give that same type of energy and critique to other ethnic businesses that you do black-owned businesses. So talking point number one, you've been brainwashed and programmed to value anything that is not black. Anything that's white you think is right. And I'm talking in relative terms now. I know you guys don't think that, but there's a lot of us, unfortunately, that have been unconsciously programmed and don't even realize it. Okay, talking point number two. Other ethnicities talk about and instill building the family legacy and generational wealth. Other ethnicities talk about and instill building the family legacy and generational wealth. We don't. Okay, it's unfortunate. Many of us focus on the flash, right? We want to have the flash, the designer clothes, expensive cars, and no assets. You see, many times we're too busy about being concerned about what it looks like than what it really is. It can look like you got money, right? But you really should be concerned that you don't have money. So you can buy the cars, you can wear the clothes, the shoes, the bags, and all that other stuff, and you can look like you got money, but in real life, you're broke. And we don't need to focus on the imagery. Hey, if you coming up and you struggling right now, guess what? Embrace that. Yeah, I'm struggling right now, but give me a few. I'm building right now. I'm building assets. You know, one of the things I always talk about, one of my buddies is in the car business. And, you know I like good cars, nice cars, and I drive nice cars, but I drive my nice cars for 10 years. That's just because I'm not a car person. So I'll buy a nice car, but I'm going to keep it for 10 years. I don't have a problem driving an older model car. That's not important to me. What's important to me are assets, real estate, my investments, my businesses. Okay, those are what's important to me. And before I forget, guys, In terms of building wealth, the most generational wealth comes in three asset classes, right? Securities, which are stocks and bonds, business ownership, and real estate. Securities, which are stocks and bonds, mutual funds, all that good stuff. Real estate and business ownership. And that's where the majority of the generational wealth comes from. So you need to understand that's what we need to focus in: real estate, business ownership, and securities, which are stocks and bonds, your investments. So don't worry about what it looks like. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. No pun intended. All right. If you're not there yet, you're not there yet. Embrace it. Understand, hey, this is where I am today, but I got a plan to get here within the next 2-3 years or whatever your time frame is. So we don't talk about building wealth and generational wealth. So in terms of bar mitzvahs, in the Jewish community, they have bar mitzvahs. When they turn 16, they get tons of money. And that money is saved and used. It's not used to buy Gucci and Prada. Okay, not those aren't assets. All right, they lose value as soon as you buy them. First of all, the value that they're sold at is I don't even understand, and I'm not going to get into that. But I'm telling you, start buying and building assets. All right, you buy that car. That's why I'm not a real big car guy. If I was a car collector or something like that, and I traded cars, that's something different. But I use my car to get from A to B. All right, like I said, I like nice cars, but I don't buy them every 3 or 4 years. I ride them joints until I keep them well maintained, but I ride them till the wheels fall off. So I'm due for a new car right now, but because of the way the economy is and the prices of the cars right now, because there's no used cars due to the backlog, I'm gonna probably wait another year. So it's got to be, you got to think smart. So other ethnicities talk about and instill building family legacy and generational wealth. Now, it's funny when you talk about weddings, and this is some of the stuff that we really need to clue in on, right? So when white people get married, right, most of the time, I think all of us want money, but instead of putting all of that stuff on your registry, ask for money. So what my wife and I did is we took all the money from our wedding, we put it aside, and we used that for a down payment for our first house that we bought together. And a rule of thumb for etiquette too, guys, because I know a lot of times, like some of my boys, they cheat. When you go to a wedding, right, the minimum you're supposed to give the couple is the cost of the plates. So if the dinner plates cost $50 a piece, now you're going to have to estimate it, and you and your girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse or partner are going to the wedding, you got 2 plates. The minimum you should give that couple is $100. This is something white folks be doing all the time. When white people get married, man, I'm telling you, because I had a lot of white folks at my wedding where my wife grew up in Long Island. My father-in-law was a principal in the school. My mother-in-law worked in the school, and they got a lot of white friends. And I'm telling you, they understand when somebody gets married, we're going to set them up right. We're going to start it off. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's something that's been ingrained in other ethnicities. We go to a wedding, we give cats electric knives and toasters. Man, we don't need that. Even if it's $25, $50, whatever. Start thinking about the financial future of your family and others. And so other ethnicities are locked in onto that, man. So the Asian community, one of my buddies in college was a Chinese dude, right? The Chinese dude, you would have thought he was black if you just talked to him over the phone. Real cool. His father owned the import-export business. And he always used to tell me, he's like, yeah, man, when we got over here, we make money, we send it back to the family. Then the next person comes over. It's community. Then the next person. And after a couple of years, you got, multi-generations, grandma, grandpa, mother, father, kids, aunts, uncles, cousins. You get them all over because they're working as a community. They understand the power of economics in building generational wealth. Now, I just read that over 40% of the Fortune 500 companies are started by immigrants. And I'm reading through this article, and it's crazy because a lot of times when immigrants from people from other countries come over here, they're not really, unless they're super educated in the American system, they're not really going to get good, well-paying jobs. So a lot of times, what do they have to do? They have to start their own businesses. There's no other option. And so when my buddy Ben from college, a Chinese dude, he was telling me his father's in the import-export business, importing stuff from China, selling it here to stores and in the States. So they understand something that we don't. They understand it's exactly what we don't. Every other ethnicity takes it upon themselves to, number one, focus on economics because they know economics drives everything else. We're focusing on flash. Now, look, I get it. You want nice things and you should have nice things, but you have to put things in order. I had another buddy of mine, and I'll never forget this story. We're out of college now. We're going over his mom's house. He lives in North Philly. And he's driving, at the time, a 740 BMW. He got his mom a nice ride. We're going over to his mom's house, a whole bunch of us. We're going to watch one of the fights, pay-per-view. It happened to be raining that night. We had to move the television, big-ass TV. We had to move the TV because the roof was leaking. Now, you got a 740 parked outside. The car probably costs more than the house. And you got the roof leaking. Where's your priorities at? It ain't about the flash and the dash. It's about that cash. It's about what assets do you have. Instead of buying a 740 and a nice, crazy new car for your mom, go ahead and get the roof fixed up. Take some of the money instead. Mom was older. She ain't even really drive. Get her a smaller car and use some money to go buy some property or something. But you got it backwards. It's flipped. You get the flash and the dash after you get the cash. When you can afford those type of things, if you want to buy Ferragamos, that's the only shoe you wear. If you want to buy, Louis and Versace, that's fine when you get to that point. But don't put that in front of what you need to be doing, which is building assets. We got it all twisted. We want to look good when we ain't feeling good. Everybody else feels good and looks good. And the reason is because they focus on the economics first. So when my boy Ben was telling me, he was like, yeah, man, when my parents moved over here, before he was born, he said it was like 9 or 10 of them in like a 2-bedroom apartment because they sacrificed. Now they don't have to sacrifice. They didn't worry about what it looked like. They worried about what it was, about building assets. So today, guys, we're talking about legacy, building generational wealth for your own last name, not others. And once again, I've gone through all of those designer last names. Every time you buy some of their stuff, you helping their generational wealth. Thank you very much. Okay. The talking point number one was, we've been brainwashed and programmed to value anything that's not black. So our black designers who are just as talented and have just as good a product, they're not getting the shine that some of these other designers are that I just mentioned. Right? Why? Because the media has told you that Versace is the best. They've told you that Fendi is the best. They told you Burberry is the best. They tell you Hublot is the best. All of that type of stuff when that's not the truth. But it's all propaganda, marketing, and perception. Number two, I'm talking about other ethnicities talk about, and it's still building the family legacy and generational wealth. We want the flash before the cash. And it's completely backwards. I like nice things, and I'm sure you like nice things. But when I was grinding, when I was coming up, I didn't have to have all that nice stuff yet because I knew if I took my time and I delayed my gratification, I could have things in the right order. Cash before the flash. And I'm not even flashy at all. My money goes into real estate, my home, my real estate, my businesses. I got a portfolio, and that's what I focus on. It don't matter what it looks like. It matters what it is. Conversation I had with one of my boys the other day. So a couple of us grew up together, and he's doing okay, but he went golfing with, this was a couple months ago. He went golfing with a couple of the other fellas. One of my boys pulled up 750. Another one pulled up in the A8 and he said, man, he pulling up in some Ford Fusion. And I said, yo, don't worry about it. I said, they're at a different point right now. But remember, and it's funny because we all talked about it about 5 or 6 years ago, my boy that pulled up in the A8, he was about to go bust, but his business took off and he's been building ever since. So don't worry about what everybody else has. You're on your own path. Okay. So just focus on building assets. So that's talking point number 2. Number 3, talking point. Guys, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be a super consumer while their family is a bunch of producers. They're getting rich off of you. You're the consumer and they are the producers. So the Fendis, the Versaces, the Gucci's, the Campbell Soup, stuff you buy from DuPont, the Ford company, the Ford family. Matter of fact, Campbell Soup Company heirs are always like, they're billionaires. A lot of them are billionaires right now from the Campbell Soup Company. And we get a lot of stuff. Like I said, they're right over the bridge in Camden, New Jersey from Philly. And so there's a lot of articles and stuff about them around here. Same as DuPont, which is up the road in Delaware. But yeah, so we're doing exactly what they want. We're super consumers. All right. I had a lady that was a director from Nielsen on about a year and a half ago. And they just talked about how we spend our dollars. We spend more dollars on luxury items, clothes, cars, and all of that stuff than any other ethnicity. All right. We're still going out there, and this just pisses me off. After Gucci put that sweater, that blackface sweater out several years ago, we still going out there and still supporting Gucci, right? Even though they retracted it and took the sweater off, we still got cats out there rocking Gucci stuff. And so as long as you continue to give them money, they're going to continue to disrespect you. As long as you're making that generational wealth for their families, they're going to continue to disrespect you. You need to weaponize your freaking dollars because you're doing exactly what they want you to do. All of these commercials, all of this propaganda. Notice the different commercials that you get when you're watching a black show than you're watching a white show. Check cashing. You know, you got all this other negative type of stuff. It's ridiculous. But that's all the propaganda. You got more car commercials. I forgot what show I was watching the other day. I'm like, damn, I'm tired of seeing these freaking car commercials. And they were expensive. So all right, we spend a lot of money on cars. We spend more time per capita than any other ethnicity on social media. Yet we don't own no damn social media platforms. And FYI, Black Twitter ain't owned by black folk. We are super consumers when we need to be producers. And this is one of the biggest problems out there. So when I talk about making conscious decisions, spending money with black-owned businesses, this is what I'm talking about. We have everything we need. We can create legacy companies too, for that black-owned companies that can create generational wealth. We have the opportunity to do it, but once again, we're doing exactly what we want. We value their products and services better than our own because, quote unquote, ours are inferior. We don't open our store on time. We don't use the same quality products. But yet, you don't give that same energy or critique to any other ethnicity because, once again, consciously or unconsciously, you've been brainwashed. Okay? You've been programmed to value everything else that's white more so than things that are black. Okay, so with the Nielsen statistics, those are real stats. We're super consumers, and that has to change. All right, so I just went over 3 talking points or 3 issues that we have in our community. Number 1, we've been brainwashed and programmed to value anything that is white over anything that's black. Anything that's not black is good. Anything that's black is bad. Now, I know we don't all think like that, but there are unfortunately people out there that do. Number 2, other ethnicities talk about and instill building family legacy and generational wealth. We don't. And number 3, we're doing exactly what they want us to do. We have become super consumers while their family and heirs are getting rich off of us. Okay, they're building generational wealth, companies that are named after their last name. But we're over here being super consumers and we think that we're doing something. We're not. We're losing. That's what we're doing. And we're losing not because of them, but it's because of us, because we're not focused on the right things. So what I'm getting ready to talk about are some of the things that we can do right now to change our condition. But before I do that, guys, I'm going to give you all my social media contact information and resource links at the end of today's show. But make sure a couple of things. Number one, please go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, hit the Learn tab, and get all the resources you need to level up your business. Please share this content and share the podcast, the whole ecosystem with the online courses, the books, the website. Please continue to share that with your family and your network. And also, guys, make sure that you continue to subscribe to the podcast on all your major podcast platforms. And I'll give you guys all of my contact information and resource links afterwards. But let's now talk about what we can do or what we must do to change the way things are going right now. So the first thing we have to do is mental reprogramming or mental reconditioning. So like I said before, we've been brainwashed and programmed to value anything that is not black. Okay. So now we have to make a mental switch, and that switch manifests itself into changing our thinking and our habits. And how do we do that? It's black first. Black first. Black first, black always. So not black as an afterthought. So support black, buy black, be black. You need to be black first. Every other ethnicity is unapologetically whatever they are. They're unapologetically Jewish. They're unapologetically white. They're unapologetically Chinese, unapologetically Irish, or whatever. We're the only ones that are not. They will stick with their own and support their own. So number one, we have to mentally reprogram ourselves and condition ourselves for black first. Black first. Okay. I'm in a big farmer's market in, I forgot where it was, somewhere outside of Philly. And they had a Caribbean store, right? So I'm like, all right, let me go check out this Caribbean store. Guess who owned the Caribbean store? Asians. They had all the Caribbean stuff, all products from Jamaica and the Caribbean in the store, and it's Asian cats that own the store. How come some Caribbeans don't own that store? It's ridiculous. And all I saw in there was Caribbeans supporting that Asian store when somebody else should have opened a store like that so we could go ahead and spend our money with them. So it has to be reconditioned, mental reprogramming, black first. Black first. Support black, buy black, be black. And it has to be conscious. Everything we do when it comes to spending needs to be conscious. I get it. You can't spend 100% of your money with black-owned businesses because unfortunately it's not possible. You want to buy a car, you're not going to be able to buy a car in the United States from a black-owned car manufacturer. You can buy it from a black-owned dealership, a black-owned salesperson. All right, but try your best to be black, buy black, stay black, and black first. Black first. So I mentioned the other day on Ask Jay Live, there is an Indian spice, well, actually it's an Indian supermarket. One of my buddies went there because he likes to cook and they have some big bags of spices. Everybody you saw in there was Indian except him and me. Now, I didn't buy anything, but he was in there buying it. But all of their people supported that business. So they were Indian first. We got to be black first. Number two, recognize and understand that black is beautiful. Black is beautiful. So if you don't understand and appreciate the value that we have as a people, you won't treat yourself and your community like the kings and queens that we are. And so we gotta continue giving life to our community and providing products and services that provide life and not death. All right. So all the stuff that's negative for us. So you go in black neighborhoods, you see all the liquor stores, you see the check cashing places, you see all of the stuff that's raping and pillaging our communities. We got to be positive, recognize and understand that black is beautiful and appreciate who we are as a people. Once again, it's unfortunate there's certain people out there that are ashamed to be black. There's this fool, I don't even like mentioning his name, but he's so ridiculous, Jesse Lee Peterson. He's a talk show host, and he has his own show. And this guy he hates to be black. He actually hates himself. And he'll have guests on there that are clowning him, but he doesn't even get it. He actually hates himself, and he doesn't even know it. So recognize and understand that black is beautiful. Understand that, okay? Number 3, focus on your legacy and generational wealth, not others. That's what we've been talking about. So what am I going to do for my family and the next generation and the next generation? Focus on your legacy and generational wealth. Now, how do you plan on doing that? I told you how most generational wealth is gained. Real estate, business ownership, and stocks and bonds. Real estate, business ownership, stocks and bonds. That's how most of the wealthy have built their wealth, with those 3 asset classes. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can start doing that. Start trying to focus on that. Start your business. Start investing. If you're working in corporate America, max out your 401k for your stocks and bonds. If you're self-employed, get your IRA, self-directed IRA. Do those type of things that have shown to create generational wealth. Stocks and bonds, real estate, and business ownership. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with that, okay? And that's number 3. Number 4, and we're talking about some of the things that we can do as a people and individuals to help build generational wealth. Today's show topic is legacy, building generational wealth for your own last name, not others. Number 4, understand the game and how you fit into the game. Literally, guys, we're pawns, but we need to be kings and queens. We're pawns on the playing field, right? So we're manipulated by media, by images, by the system itself to make sure that we're on the bottom of the socioeconomic rung. We're on the bottom of the ladder. Okay, so we have to understand and recognize what the game is and how it's played. Knowing is half the battle. If you know that the media is biased, if you know that the educational system is biased, if you know that the policing system is biased, you need to understand that. Now, what do we need to do? We need to focus on building wealth. Like I said on my shirt, there's no revolution without economics. Economics is the driving force behind everything. Economics controls politics. It's a pay-for-play business. Economics controls education. Economics controls the media. Okay? So when it comes to politics, right? So if you have a political action committee and you want something done and you put your money and your votes behind a specific candidate because they're going to do what you say they're going to do, and if not, next time they run, you're not going to support them. That's economics. All right. You want real estate, for example. We all know what redlining is, right? You know what? It's harder for black folk to get a mortgage than other people to get mortgages. And that's all pay for play when you talk about politics also. So when that developer goes into a part of North Philly, which is quote unquote now called Northern Liberties, where your grandmom's been living for 40 years, house paid off, very low property taxes. And these developers say, you know what? This is a great area for gentrification. So what they do is they put their paper together. They go to the local politicians, council members of that area. Yo, we want to change the building codes. We want to build up your part of the city, blah, 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 blah. Here's a couple $1 million or whatever. And when you get back in office, after we support you, we're going to expect these changes to make the changes we need made in your district. So now your grandmom's property taxes skyrocket. She can't live there anymore. She has to sell her house that she's been in for 40 years, that your parents were raised in, your mom or dad was raised in. And now grandmom got to go somewhere else. They come in, give her not even up to market value, knock her house down, build up these new condos and townhouses, ratchet up the property taxes. And now that whole area is gentrified. And that's because you didn't want to vote. That's because you listening to some idiots out there talking to that about voting doesn't matter. I'm not going to get on this subject, but what I will tell you is you better vote for your local elections. You better vote for your local elections or don't say nothing. Your local elections, they determine your school, your education, your property taxes, crime, everything. So once again, number 4, understand the game and how you fit into the game. You are a pawn in the game. We are pawns in the game that need to be kings and queens. The only way to do that is with economics. So let's say you live in an area where your local school system is bad. Guess what? If you have the economics, you can build a charter school. You can build a private school. All right. Economics affects media, right? So we now can create our own media outlets. We got the internet. We can buy radio stations, TV stations. We can affect media, but it all costs money. Healthcare, right? We can create and build our own healthcare systems or clinics or offices. All of this can be done, but it has to be done with money. So that's why it's so important in terms of building generational wealth. So that was number 4, understand the game and how we fit into the game, and we're pawns in the game. Number 5, value yourself and your ethnicity. And you do that and you show that by buying and supporting Black-owned businesses. Like I said, every other ethnicity does that but us. So I'll give you an example. So if there was a Chinese store on one corner, a Black store right across the street on the other corner, right? Now, that Black store could be selling stuff for 20% cheaper than the Chinese store. But I guarantee you all the Chinese people will go into the Chinese store, right? Now, if it was reversed and the Chinese store is selling stuff 20% cheaper than the Black-owned store, Black people would go to the Chinese store too. You know why? Because they think they're getting a deal and they think the brother is actually over there trying to rip them off. When in reality, the Chinese store is probably buying through a cooperative. So they probably have a group of Chinese stores going in together, pooling their resources to go buy the products at a lower price, which in turn means that they can sell it at a lower price. Whereas the Black-owned store isn't in a co-op. He's buying product individually, which cost him more. So once again, that means he has to sell it for more. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of economics. All right. But you got to value yourself and your ethnicity above all else, just like everybody else does. Number 6, train your children to be producers and not consumers. Train your children to be producers and not consumers. Train them to create, right? So teach them to understand and appreciate the quest for generational wealth. Hey, this is why we're doing this. Here's some examples of families that have generational wealth. Don't you want that too for you and your children and your children's children and so on and so forth? Okay, so expose them to entrepreneurship. And you can help them yourself, or if you're not an entrepreneur, try to help find a mentor for them. But they need to understand that this is one of the pillars of building generational wealth, entrepreneurship. It's securities, which are stocks and bonds, real estate, and business ownership. And these are the things that other ethnicities are teaching their children. Train your children to be producers, not consumers. And as I said earlier, guys, we are the super consumer. Everybody else's fortunes is made on our backs. They're laughing at you. All right. I talked about Gucci earlier. So when you when you continue to buy products from companies that don't give a damn about you, don't care about you, don't respect you, they can do anything they want because they know your simple ass is still going to buy their product. It's almost like going to the store. Say I'm going into Gucci and I'm buying product out of Gucci, which is overpriced. Now I'm over there, I'm flashing over there looking like I'm $1 million when really I ain't even got no money in my bank account. My car note is 2 payments behind, but I look good. So you going into Gucci and buy your stuff out there. And just imagine if Gucci, you give them the money, Gucci snatches the money out your hand, the lady behind the register, spits in your face, and then you say, thank you very much. I'll be back next paycheck to get something else. How stupid are you? How stupid are you? And if you don't think people and other businesses and ethnicities are laughing at you, you're sadly mistaken. They're laughing at us. They're laughing at us, right? How many times on Instagram, on social media, you see these nuts with stacks of money up to their ears, right? Like a telephone. You see anybody that got real money doing that? Huh? You see anybody that got real money doing that? You see any of the Vanderbilts, the Fords, the Gucci's, the Ferragamo kids, all of that? You ever see that? No. We always got to be flashy. We have to prove to ourselves that we're worthy. And that comes from lack of self-confidence. That comes from being torn down and denigrated by everybody else. We got to show ours. We got to wear ours. We got to drive ours. Where theirs is sitting in investment accounts. Theirs is sitting in multifamily properties. Theirs is sitting in stocks and bonds. Theirs is sitting in 5 or 6, 7 businesses they own. We out here showing. You showing that you're a nut. That's what you're showing. Stop trying to look like you're flashy and focus on the cash. Make your stuff work for you. Don't worry about what another man or woman thinks about what you got. It don't matter. If they don't see you for who you are, then you don't need them anyway. Come on, man. Yo, y'all got me about to go off up in here. So that's number 1 I was talking about. Number 6, train your children to be producers, not consumers. And I just have to say this. I saw on Instagram, I didn't even know they made Gucci's sneakers this little. I saw some little kid, he couldn't have been more than maybe 10 months old. They dressed him up in the little Gucci sneakers, Gucci outfit. And I'm saying to myself, man, come on, man. Come on, man. That's nut stuff, man. And I'm not using the words I really want to use. That's nut stuff. What are you teaching your children? What are you teaching them? Are you teaching them to be consumers, or are you teaching them to be producers? All of that is fine and dandy once you got everything, your wealth built up, your assets built up. Ain't nothing wrong with having good things that you want quality, or what you deem quality things. Nothing wrong with that. But put it in order. Build your assets before you start buying the things that you really can't afford. Could that money that you spent on them Gucci's or whatever, them red bottoms or Louboutins, could you have used that to buy a couple shares of stock? Could you have used that to put away? Be smart, man. You falling for the okie doke, man. This is what they want you to do. That's why every black TV show you got that you watch, look at the commercials on it. Look at the commercials that you see. All they doing is just extracting your money and laughing at you. And you happily skipping down the street, giving it to them. Come on, man. Don't get me started. And number 7, what are you focusing on? The flash or the building assets? So once again, are you too worried about what you drive, what you wear, how big your house is, all of that stuff? Or are you focusing on building generational wealth for your family and generations to come? And there's nothing wrong. Let me repeat. There's nothing wrong with having all of that. But put it in order first. You know, you don't get your 5,000 square foot house first and you can barely pay the mortgage. You don't do that. You don't buy your A8 or whatever you driving before you got 2 nickels in the bank. I mean, you got to have more than 2 nickels in the bank. I know a cat that bought back in the day, a 750. He couldn't even pay for a freaking tune-up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you're not ready for that yet. We all aspire to have good things, but don't let those good things be your guide. Building assets, generational wealth, that should be the focus. All of the other stuff comes later. I see it so backwards sometimes. Like I said, I seen cats pull up to a house. Their car costs more than their house. Their house is falling down. But you pulling up in a nice car that costs more than your freaking house. Come on, man. You ain't ready yet. Understand there's a time and a season for everything. Don't be embarrassed by where you are today, because you don't have to stay there. You're out there, you're grinding, you're working hard, you're being an example for your family, your community, your children. Hey, son, yeah, I know such and such pop driving that, but that's all right. You know, what he got in the bank. And what it looks like on the outside, guys, damn sure ain't what it always is on the inside. It may look good on the outside. Yeah, oh man, you know, they traveling, they got a nice big house, they this, that, and the other thing. You go look up on the tax records, they in foreclosure. They 8 months down on their house. Seen it all the time. And like I told my wife when we almost lost it all the second time, I said, I ain't worrying about what it looks like. I kept my house. I was able to do that. I said, I ain't worrying about what it looks like. Let's get better. We're sick right now. Our finances is jacked up right now. So let's get better. Don't matter what it looked like on the outside. Let's get the inside cleaned up. And I say this all the time too. So when my son, for those of you who had listened to the show for a while, I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son, but I lost my son to brain cancer when he was 17 months old. And so he would have been 21 right now. He was my youngest. And so the crazy thing is, when inside the Jones household, it looked good from the outside. Nice house, nice car, 2 cars and out there. Kids look good. Even though my son was battling cancer, he looked good from the outside. But if you were on the inside of that house, where I was, where the house was the mortgage payments were behind, because my wife had to stop working because she had to make sure my son could get back and forth to the hospital. I had just started one of my new businesses. Mortgages were behind. 1 car was paid off, but the van wasn't paid off. That was behind. They trying to repo that. From the outside, we look good. Nice, healthy family, nice house, decent cars, blah, blah, blah. But on the inside, we weren't healthy. We were fighting for life. We were stressed to death. We battling my son's, his fight for life. Not to mention we had the financial stress on top of us. On the outside, we look good. But in real life, we were jacked up. And that ain't the word I want to use. We were messed up. So stop trying to live up to somebody else's standards. You are where you are right now. But that doesn't mean this is where you have to stay. So create a plan. Start building assets. Generational wealth, the 3 common assets that most people or families that have generational wealth: stocks and bonds, which are securities, real estate, and business ownership. That's what we need to focus on. Not all at the same time, but it should be about accumulating and building assets, not buying flash and dash. All right? Because that's what's going to get your ass in trouble in the long run. Don't look good, be good. Don't look good, be good. Now, it's funny. I could buy a new car if I wanted every year, which would be the dumbest thing I would do. But sometimes my wife was like, yo, you need to buy a car. Not now, but before. I was like, I'm good. The truck is good. I'm going to keep riding it. Nah, you go ahead and get you a car. Finally, like I said, we keep our cars for about 10 years. That's just us. Because we know that's not an asset. We not going to spend all the money on fly cars, new cars every couple of years. The money can be better spent when leveraged in real estate, in stocks and bonds, in reinvesting in my businesses. So that's how we got to think. Let me just share this before we close it on out, guys. If you want to connect with me, the best place to go is blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Anything you want that I'm getting ready to tell you is on that page. You want to get my social media information, go to the About page. You want all my resources, hit the Learn button with the drop down. You'll get all of that stuff. So I mentioned at the top of the show, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Also on the site, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Everything I'm telling you is actually on the site, but you can go to these directly if you want. I mentioned my 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. BeSmartByBlack.com. If you are a black product producer who wants to sell your products to black consumers for free, upload your information and go to BeSmartByBlack.com. It's free to upload your product information. Now, I didn't forget about you freelancers. If you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, once again, it is free. Upload your information and you can connect with black consumers and black business owners who want to hire black freelancers. Okay. Now, I mentioned also at the top of the show, the new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy is up. So it doesn't matter if you are a current entrepreneur or a prospective entrepreneur. We have all types of learning content and tracks to help elevate your entrepreneur IQ, from marketing, e-commerce, setting up your business, financing, anything you need to build your business. And you can get 3 days free. Go to bebacademy.com and you can access any of the content inside the academy for free for 3 days. Also, my new flagship program, if you want to get into e-commerce, hands down the best program on the market, Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAelite.com. Once again, all of this is on BlackEntrepreneurBlueprint.com. BBAelite.com is a 15-week implementation program that takes you from product ideation all the way to product completion, to selling your product or service on your site and any applicable sites. So it doesn't matter if it's a physical products brand or a digital products brand, BBAelite.com. Make sure you check that out. Now, if you want to connect with me, if it's anything long, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Instagram, I got 2 IG accounts. The first one is J Jones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. The second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, JJones001. YouTube, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. I have additional content on YouTube that is not on the show. And yes, the show does come out on YouTube. Also, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn. Just check out J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And if you're on Clubhouse, I'm at I am J Jones, at I am J Jones. Also, don't forget my companion podcast, Ask J Live, every Tuesday, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I take live calls from the BEB family. You can talk to me about your business, my business, or entrepreneurship in general. Just go to Ask J Live and sign up and subscribe. It's exclusively on the call-in app. Now, tomorrow's Ask J Live, I'm going to talk about, do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? Do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? That is Tuesday, February 8th topic on Ask J Live. Once again, guys, everything I'm talking about is on the website, BlackEntrepreneurBlueprint.com, or you can go to take the short route, BEBconnect.com, which will take you to the website. And for all you first-time listeners, once again, welcome to the BEB family. We drop every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all your major podcast platforms and YouTube. And don't forget, next week's show, Monday, February 14th, Dedrick and Crystal Polite from the new A&E show 50/50 Flip. If you're talking about real estate, you got to tune in for this one. It was an amazing interview, and you guys will glean a lot from their experience to building a $5 million real estate portfolio in a little over 3 years. Now, I say this each and every week, guys. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. I couldn't do this without you. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the ecosystem, the new website, the resource for Black entrepreneurs, BlackEntrepreneurBlueprint.com. Please continue to spread the word, because it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us as a collective. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black economy by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.